People often ask us what we mean by the term state of grace in the state of grace document concept. And this word grace has many different connotations. It depends on, how a person's connecting to it. For some, it's a very religious context. For others, it's much more of a spiritual context. But to tell you the truth, for us, when we first came up with the state of grace document concept, it was actually calling up the visual of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers dancing.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away.
And there are these iconic examples of beauty and fluidity and effortlessness. In fact, watching them makes you think that, even though I've never had a dance lesson in my life, that I could get up and dance just like them. That's the beauty of what, they show us when they're together. And if I had a physical representation for my relationships, for how I want my relationships to be, it would be the visual of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers dancing. I want to build a foundation for my relationships where there's a lot of, work that I've put into it and strength, and I've built the foundation that really holds the relationship. But upon that, I want to be able to have these fluid and effortless day-to-day interactions. I don't want to have those triggers that, bring me down to such a level that I have trouble getting myself out. And when I do build that foundation, which to me is the state of grace document, then my day-to-day interactions are more effortless. It's easier to get through the stresses in life. I'm going to have days where I'm triggered by people, or they trigger me, or it's just a stressful day. I haven't met anybody who doesn't have something like that. But as long as we're going to have those kinds of days, let's get through them quicker. Let's make it just a little blip on the screen instead of something that draws me completely downwards. And by building a foundation and then having those graceful interactions and not getting so caught up in all of the drama and the stress, I actually begin to create space for this immense creativity in my relationships, having the stress be so much less often, and in some cases non-existent. The last time I had an argument with Zell was probably, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and the one 3 or 4 years ago wasn't even anything that lasted more than an hour. It's just a completely different way I found of interacting, and I had no concept initially that that was possible. And yet I find over the years and the hundreds of documents I've done, by creating state of grace documents with a few key people in my life, by ensuring that I have that effortlessness in my day-to-day interactions, I actually am also in a very different place, or being more graceful in all my interactions, whether it's with the checkout person at the grocery store or somebody that I'm only going to know for a week or two. Whatever the relationships are that come in and out of my life, they have this gracefulness that I never anticipated. I just don't find myself attracting the kind of stress or drama that I might have years ago. And so grace to us is that ability to make our day-to-day interactions become at one with one another, where we really are one person dancing around the floor. And when that happens, we just don't step on each other's toes anymore. And the things we're able to build, what we're able to give to the world and be for the world, is at a level that is not even logical for me. So that's how grace came to be in the concept of the state of grace document.